Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky15, where I'll be giving you my Lucky 15 predictions for tomorrow's horse racing as usual here on the channel. If you're brand new to us on the channel, what I am is I'm hoping to be a horse racing journalist sometime in the future. I'm going back to university in September to study a Masters in Sports Broadcast and Journalism, and the sport that I love to work in the most is horse racing. It's my absolute passion, and this is why I created the channel, to get some experience, gain some confidence and demonstrate my knowledge and passion of horse racing, which I hope you enjoy, even though we don't get too many winners or we don't have too many great days. We probably have more poor days than good days. It's just a bit of fun at the end of the day, and I enjoy making these vlogs and seeing what goes on in the world of horse racing day in, day out. So please subscribe to us on the channel here, and the more subscribers I get, the more better improvements we can make on the channel. I do have some things possibly in the pipeline for later on. The more subscribers we get, we might be able to go out and do some like stable tours, have some interviews with jockeys, trainers, that kind of thing. So it'd be really good for you to subscribe to our channel, and hopefully we can develop into something amazing. So thank you for all your support so far, and I hope to continue to make these vlogs. But I'm gonna just recap on Saturday's action. Just want to make a quick apology as well for not making a vlog for today's horse racing. It was not the greatest cards on the planet. Today we had a race in the air on the flat and a jumps meeting at Market Raisin. I didn't do too many bets there, but I did okay. I got a couple of winners up, but nothing major. So all in all, it was a pretty quiet day in the world of horse racing today. I think the main action was in Chantilly with like the more better quality horses. But that was quite interesting there. There was one or two interesting. I think Thunder Snow won in one of the big races of the day. That's one that's been coming over here a couple of times. So all in all, we'll get on to Saturday, and it wasn't a bad day on Saturday. Just to let you know, I did change 2 selections. If you're going to go and say like, why are you claiming these winners? Well, I only got one winner on my changes, because on Saturday's vlog we did on the night before we did some predictions, and we had Colline Rock and Saigon City that we predicted on the Friday night. Early on they became non-runners on Saturday morning, so I took to Twitter a few hours before the race, changed to my selections, changing from the non-runners. We had Batash at Sandown in the 150, won very nicely for us. They've got plans to take on Lady Aurelia in one of the bigger meetings at York next month, so it'd be interesting to see if it lives up to the class of that animal, but it'd be a very hard one to beat, but won well at Sandown. And it did have the nice plum draw where it made all in the end, and it was a good performance there from Dane O'Neill, who rode that winner. Then we changed to Big Country from Saigon City at Haydock. Was in the race for some of it, and towards the end it just petered out to finish back in about 5th or 6th place in the end with Josie Gordon aboard. So there wasn't a great selection there. Then we went to the big controversial one, which was the Eclipse. It was a photo finish in the end with Arnett, Barney, Roy and Ulysses. Ulysses got awarded the win in the end. It was very close. In real time I thought it was a dead heat. They kept the tension and the suspicion to what won, and in the end they gave it to Ulysses. It was a good ride by Jim Crowley, considering he did get dropped earlier in the week for a horse called Eminent, you might be aware of, who won the Craven back in April. Sylvester de Souza took the ride on that one in the end, and it had been doing apparently some groundbreaking work, breaking some records on the gallops. I think it might have been at Newmarket or somewhere like that, and putting some good performances. And it also as well, I think, injured one of the groom staff or something. I think they had to have a hip replacement or something. But yeah, Sylvester de Souza, I should say, took the ride from Jim Crowley on that one, and it's good that Jim Crowley basically put 2 fingers up to the owners of Eminent for riding the winner in that race. But I don't think that was Sylvester de Souza's fault. I've heard a little bit of criticism for the way he rode Eminent. I think actually Eminent is a horse that they're really struggling to find out what distance he gets, because ever since he won the Craven they've always said, oh, he needs further up in trip. He ran in the Derby, I think he ran in, it was the 2000 Guineas, he didn't quite get the trip, so why don't they just try and back over a mile again? Because if a horse wins at a distance, why do they always say it's got to go up in trip? Run it at the trip again and see if it wins again at the same trip. Then maybe start to experiment if it's not fulfilling the potential, if it needs further or drop back in trip. So very strange there with Eminent. I just think the horse hasn't been given the right trip, and I think that trip's probably a mile. And see if it, give it another chance over a mile, see if it will like it again. But yeah, let us know what you think about Eminent there, because you think he finished fourth in the Derby, you think he finished midfield in the Guinea. So yeah, that was a bit of a strange one there. And then we had Roman Holiday at Haydock in the 5 o'clock. It was nowhere near the action, to be honest. I think it always was in about midfield and faded towards the end. I think a couple of the front runners filled the first couple of places there. So all in all, it wasn't the best day on Saturday, but we had a winner and we had a place. So all in all, we got our money back, really. But I'm going to be making some selections for tomorrow's horse racing. It's pretty tricky day again tomorrow. There's not a lot of quality racing on, but we managed to come up with something for tomorrow. If you're brand new to us as well, we often do these Lucky 15s each way. So when I say something runs into a place or trying to make the frame, that's what I normally go on horses that will, at least what I think will run well. And also as well, you might remember last week we introduced a nap and a long shot in these vlogs, and I'll be getting stuck into those very shortly. And actually our first selection for tomorrow will be our nap in the 2:30 at Worcester, and the horse that we've gone for here is Sonofpresenting, trained by Kim Bailey. David Bass takes a ride, one of Kim Bailey's main jockeys, and this horse could improve a lot tomorrow. It won on its seasonal reappearance about a month ago at Fontwell. Really impressive style, won by about 9 or 10 lengths with a front running performance, and the handicapper has whacked it up since then quite a few pounds, but I definitely think this horse is on the upward curve and could definitely win this race tomorrow. It's not got a lot of great rivals it's up against tomorrow. It's the favourite, currently around about 6-4 bookmakers at the moment, but some of you are going to argue probably, oh, that's a bit short, but I definitely think it's worth the value tomorrow, and I only go for favourites if I think they will win at a fair price and not shorter than even. So that's what I'm going to go for there tomorrow. Sonofpresenting, I thought he was really nice, win at Fontwell. He hasn't got the strongest opposition tomorrow. Kim Bailey as well tends to do quite well with young, lightly raced horses, and he's got the horses like the likes of Willoughby Court that won at Cheltenham, and he's also got the Last Samurai as well, which was tipped to run well in the National but kind of faded out in the end. But he's got some good horses at his disposal, and this could be another making of a little superstar in his arsenal. So all in all, I thought Sonofpresenting was a good runner tomorrow, and he's going to be our nap for tomorrow and be our first selection. Afterwards of Worcester, we then go to the evening action to make up our next 3 selections. We go to Windsor in the 7:35 with a horse called Sir Titan, which is 5-2 with bookmakers at the moment. I think it's around about second, third favourite. Trained by Marcus Tregonning, who's one of my local horse trainers. Stevie Drown takes a ride, and this horse won very well last time on the New Weather at Wolverhampton, but it is going to make its handicap debut tomorrow, which I think it's a bit of a questionable open mark of 82, but I definitely thought the horse could definitely defy that mark and put in a good bold performance tomorrow. Also as well, this horse is probably, even though it's making its handicap debut, it made its seasonal reappearance at Wolverhampton, and a lot of these horses have a few question marks as well, like the like of this horse, but I really like the way it won. It won by about 3 or 4 lengths at Wolverhampton, and I actually backed it that day at about 6 or 7-1, I think it was in the end. And it won really well, and it was easing down when it won by about 3 or 4 lengths, and there could be plenty more to come from this horse where it beat a really short odds on favourite that day. I think the favourite was something like 4-7 in the end. So I thought Titan was definitely an interesting contender tomorrow at least, and that's going to be our second selection there. Our third selection tomorrow is a horse called Cape Coast, who will run at Ripon in the 7:45. Trained by Mark Johnston, and Sylvester de Souza takes the ride. Quite an interesting contender again, making its handicap debut off a mark of 80 tomorrow, when it won a maiden, I think it was at Wolverhampton, quite convincing style, by about the same kind of margin to our previous selection, about 3 or 4 lengths, but was always in control and in command, and Sylvester de Souza I think might have taken the ride that day as well, and didn't have to do a lot to make the horse win. So he takes the ride again tomorrow. It's got good pedigree as well, being by Cape Cross, who was an excellent horse in his day and has turned out to be a fair, good old sire as well. So that looks promising there. Mark Johnson as well, he's a bit hot and cold, you can predict him. He never really has a middle kind of race. He's either he puts all his cards on the table and it will win, or it will absolutely finish like a stone dead last or something. So it'll be interesting to see how this horse goes, but he was quite nice on paper, and he's definitely open to some improvement, and I thought 80 was a fair mark, considering a few of these other horses are a bit more exposed than this horse. So all in all, I thought Cape Coast, he was running about 5-1 at the moment with bookmakers, was definitely a fair chance there to make the frame, and that's who we've gone for there as our third selection tomorrow. Our last selection goes to Windsor in the 905, and we've picked a horse called Harebell, who could be a bit hit and miss, but I thought held a little bit of value in the race at 6-7-1 with bookmakers at the moment. That's going to be our long shot tomorrow. Trained by Rafe Beckett, and Pat Dobbs takes a ride. It's been interesting as well, if you've noticed recently, if you're a big follower in the horse racing world, Pat Dobbs has been taking over a lot of rides for Rafe Beckett. I don't think he was ever the main jockey for Rafe Beckett, but nonetheless he has been picking up rides for him. This horse ran okay at Doncaster last time out, where it finished third on Friday night, where it ran really well, where there was hardly any pace contested in that race, and it ran quite eye-catchingly and was only within about half a length of winning the race. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of race this horse will run tomorrow. At the weights as well, I thought this horse was quite well off and could potentially put in another good bid and could improve. It's lightly raced, open to improvement, been running creditably this season. It's had at least a win already, where it did get put up by the handicapper a bit, but it's been running at a fair level off that mark, and if he could find a little bit more improvement tomorrow, I definitely thought again this horse could be in the mix. So around about 6 or 7-1 bookmakers at the moment. That's going to be our long shot tomorrow in the 905 at Windsor Harebell. But if you had a good weekend, let us know in the comments box below. Also as well, let us know what you thought about the Eclipse result in the end. It was quite a close call. I think a couple of you I saw did Barney Roy like me, probably did it on my nap, but like I say, you don't have to do my bets. I just give my selections what I think will run well tomorrow, because if you probably followed me you wouldn't make loads of money, but that's just what I think will run well. Also as well, let us know in the comments as well what you think will run well tomorrow. If you want to go against me, by all means. I've seen a few of you have been going against what I've been predicting. Sometimes you've got it right and I've got it wrong, or sometimes I've got it right and you've got it wrong, so it's been a bit of a fair old battle. I've seen a couple of you do that in the comments there. Also as well, you can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at Lucky15. Gamble responsibly. Like I say, you don't have to do my bets. If you want to lose money, go ahead and do my bets. But that's what you. But hopefully, I'll prove you wrong, and we'll get some winners tomorrow. So yeah, gamble responsibly. See you soon, and we'll be back tomorrow for some more predictions.